Welcome back, everybody, to the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. I'm Chris Witt, and with me, as always, is Mr. Adam Schmidt. Adam, how are you today, sir?
Wonderful. How about yourself?
Oh, if I was any better, I would have gone to the Earth, Wind, and Fire concert. Adam, we have not been together for about a week and a half. Well, it's 2 weeks, I guess, right? It's been 2 weeks since we've done the podcast. This is this. We didn't do last week. I was in Nashville for a baseball tournament.
That's not why we didn't do last week. We didn't do last week because
you were at the Earth, Wind, and Fire, but we couldn't do it later in the week because I was in Nashville the next day. So just a lot of stuff didn't happen. So we will get into sports. We've got NBA free agency. We've got these Cincinnati Redlegs playing some of the best baseball you've ever seen out of a team that doesn't even have a fourth of their starting rotation.
Yeah.
And their bullpen is the worst in Major League Baseball outside of the best closer in Major League Baseball.
That's right.
We'll get into all that and Shohei Ohtani and what could possibly happen with him and a lot of NBA free agency, a lot of stuff, trade deadline in baseball. And then, of course, we've got the Mount Rushmore of game shows and our comedy segment, which is this week I went off the rails and did 85 South Boys. Can't remember what it was called, but it's the 85 South on
Extravaganza.
Netflix. There you go.
They would never call it that.
No, but it was. It was an extravaganza. All right, so let's start off, though. Adam, as we always do, we start off with a Reese's. Adam brought a cooler. Whenever a cooler is brought with Reese's, that means something cold, obviously. Is it what I was talking about getting the other day?
I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Because I don't think we actually said, but
Okay.
we have
No, this is not, but this looks so good.
Reese's chocolate
Sundae
cones or something.
Yeah,
Like
it just says Reese's chocolate on it, but it is the kind of like the Nutty Buddy cone. Is that what that thing's called? The Nutty Buddy?
Sure.
It's got the
Like
waffle,
the
drumstick. That's it. Yeah, like a drumstick. It's got the waffle cone. I'll bring the garbage bag over in between us. So this looks really delicious. I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be.
I wonder how much of the peanut butter you're really going to flavor off in this thing. Because if you look at the wrapper, it looks like the top is chocolate and the sides are peanut butter. So that means this light brown should be peanut butter.
So there are two flavors in the box here.
Mm-hmm.
One is chocolate, one is peanut butter.
Oh,
this is the chocolate. So this may be more chocolate, and then next week's maybe more peanut butter.
Definitely more chocolate. I don't taste any peanut butter at all. Yeah, the chocolate, though, isn't bad. It's a different kind of chocolate. There may be some peanut butter in the middle.
This is going to take a while to eat.
It is. So why we do it, Adam? Why don't you tell me what happened? Adam, you went to the Earth, Wind, and Fire concert.
I did.
He took a video, saw a video, a lot of white hairs in there, bud. A lot of white hair in there. Maybe some blue in there as well. Oh, yeah. Like you're 4 or 5, you might have 50 gray hairs in that out of the 5 million hairs you have. Old people there, they had no other color than white or gray in their hair.
There was a lot of white hairs there. Man, it was nice. I've been waiting for this concert for a few years now. They had to cancel with it. I mean, they canceled twice, actually. Once COVID, and then the next time was when, speaking of old, they were traveling with Santana, and 2 weeks before that or whatever, he collapsed on stage and they had to cancel the rest of the concert. So anyway,
wow,
that was last year.
There's a huge chunk of peanut butter in the middle of this, by the way.
Oh yeah,
just a ice cold chunk of peanut butter that I was not expecting to grab, which is delicious, by the way.
Okay, good. So wonderful concert. These guys there are 3 members left from the original band. All right. One is like the
Earth.
Yeah, the Earth, Wind, and Fire are all still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're good.
So thank you. No, Philip Bailey, who's the singer that when you hear Earth, Wind, and Fire song and you have a real high voice guy, that's Philip Bailey. He's wonderful. And then you got two other guys, the bassist and then the guy who plays percussion and does some singing and stuff. Anyway, great show. They are probably in their late 70s, those guys.
Oh yeah.
So they're slowing down a bit. They're definitely slowing down a bit. Still put on a good show, but the voices aren't quite the same. And the what do you call it? The stamina is not quite the same.
Oh yeah, a lot of out of breath.
Yeah. A lot of sharing responsibilities. There were, 8 people in the band or something like that, 9 people, something like that. And you had 7 different people singing because
Oh boy, just couldn't do it anymore.
Hitting all the notes and all the songs. They played all the hits and everything. There was one song that's maybe my favorite Earth, Wind and Fire song that they didn't play, but they played all the ones that everybody knows, and it was a great show. Like I said, Philip Bailey took a little bit of time to warm up, a couple songs to kind of warm his voice up, and then the middle
he was kill it. Did he kill it? Good. Did all of a sudden he come back?
He killed it.
Love it. Oh, that's so good. No, that's awesome, because thinking about that, like you go to a concert like that, and the first couple songs you're like, oh boy, this is what a bummer. Like it's almost a disappointment.
Yeah.
So the fact that it got warmed up and oh boy, came through. I'm happy. I'm happy that you got to get a good part of it.
There are a few songs that he really, really goes real high and covers a wide range. And he did hit those. And then after a span of like 4 or 5 songs like that, about 3/4 of the way through the concert, he kind of like, okay, now you got to do something. Now this guy's got to do something. His son actually is in the band now.
Oh, really?
It was really cool. So there are a bunch of different guys sing. So he kind of had to slow it down a little bit after that, after he went all out. But all the same songs that you know from Earth, Wind and Fire. Everybody likes Earth, Wind and Fire. But great concert. Here's the thing. So I get there. They had some guy open up. He wasn't too bad. He was okay. He had a very small, it was him and 2 other people in his band. And so he was fine, but we get there right a little bit before they start and walk down this row. We're like in the middle of an aisle, in the middle of a row. All right. So people on both sides of us. So the people to the right of us, I go in and I'm sitting far. So I'm sitting next to a person I don't know. Okay. I go with my ex-girlfriend, which is a whole story. But anyway, so we go, and then some of her friends were there. I sit next to this lady. I don't pay any attention to what she looks like, who she's with, any of that stuff. We're sitting there for a while during this concert. I mean, the opening act comes on, goes off, wait a little bit. Earth, Wind and Fire comes on. They start playing 5, 6 songs, maybe 7 songs in. I mean, they probably played 30 songs. It was a lot. But a while into Earth, Wind and Fire, I actually look over and realize that I'm assuming her husband is with her. Almost everybody is up pretty much the whole time. Couple slower songs, people sat down and stuff. But soon as a faster part comes up or a faster song comes up, everybody's up, right? Even the old folks. And this lady was a little bit older, but she was up and moving around, dancing, and having a good time.
Just to getting.
I realized that the man sitting next to her hasn't moved a muscle the whole time.
Okay. Did she bring her plasticized husband with her?
Yes. So I think it was a song that was a little slower, and we sat, and I kind of look around a little bit, and I actually, for the first time, pay attention to this lady and the people that she's with. So I look over, and the seats are connected. So you're 2 seats away from me. This is the distance 2 seats away from me. I look past the lady sitting next to me, and sitting in your seat 2 seats away from me, Cincinnati Reds legend George Foster.
What? Are you kidding me?
It took me to almost halfway through. Yeah,
got
to almost
chills.
halfway through the concert, and I realized I'm sitting with George Foster, and he's not. Yeah, he's not moving a muscle.
He's like, yeah, I told you I'd come to see this, but no, he didn't talk like that at all. Yeah, I told you I'd come to see this, but
Yep.
I ain't getting up singing with all y'all.
He yeah, he didn't. I'm like I'm like,
What happens then? Oh my gosh.
so
Did you get a picture with him?
I did not. So my dad's at the concert. He went with some of his siblings, and they're sitting like further back. I was like, so they had a section like right up against the stage of flat seats,
Mhm.
and then the stadium seating started,
Right.
back a little bit. We were in like the third row from the
Nice.
stadium seating.
Where-
Amazing seats. I'm like
Where's this at?
50 feet away from the stage, at the PNC Pavilion at Riverbend.
Okay, gotcha.
The little bit smaller venue, like
Mhm.
attached to Riverbend. So great seats. My dad's, so I'm like, and we're kind of texting back and forth a little bit throughout the concert. My dad and I are, and I'm like, I got to tell, my ex-girlfriend is not going to know who George Foster is.
I gotta
But
tell somebody.
her friend and her friend's husband are from Cincinnati originally, and or maybe Northern Kentucky or whatever, but I'm pretty sure they're going to know. And I think they're big Reds fans too. So, but I wait for a little bit because I still don't, this is the first time I ever met them. You know how I am anyway. I don't talk to people, but I'm like, okay, I'm 98.9% sure this is George Foster. I didn't want to stare at him either, so I'm like, I kind of keep looking over, and I'm like giving the side eye and making sure. And then I'm like, that's man, so text my dad. I'm like, 2 seats over from me is George Foster. And so then I'm just kind of, now I'm kind of like not paying as much attention to the concert. I'm at the concert with George Foster. I'm seeing Earth, Wind and Fire with George Foster. So finally, I can't hold it in anymore. And I reach over to her and I say, there's a Reds Hall of Famer sitting 2 seats away from me. And she said, really? Who? And I tell her, and she tells her friend next to her, and she tells her, and she tells her friend, and her friend looks up and looks over. She goes, that is him. So I got to tell everybody that George Foster was right there. And it was just cool. And then,
but they didn't do anything. They didn't try to, oh man, I'd have been like, give my phone to the very last person, and let's take a big selfie from up top, and everybody smile like we're taking a picture of ourselves. And in the background's gonna be George Foster.
Yeah.
It'd cut whoever's on the bottom off because he tilted up high enough so you can see George Foster. Make it look like I'm getting my selfie with George Foster.
Right. I went through this scenario in my mind. If I say something to him, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? I don't want to, make a big thing or whatever.
Yeah, no, of course.
And but I'm like, I've seen enough athletes and stuff like that around, that I haven't said anything to them. Just I'm like,
It's better off to do. I think you're better off to do that. If you do anything, it's in a break or something like that, and when you guys accidentally, quote unquote, because you keep looking at them, make eye contact, and you just go, give them a little, how you doing, Mr. Foster? It's a great concert, huh? This is just like, man, I love these guys. These guys are awesome, aren't they? I wouldn't even say Mr. Foster. I'd just be like that. I would have just started talking to his wife.
Yeah.
Immediately, I just would have. She was getting up and down. I'd have been getting up. I'd have been swaying and getting a little dance on. Like, oh my God, this is my jam.
Bumping hips.
Yep, I'd be hit. Ooh. 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 We be going. George Foster might have to beat me up.
Yeah. I feel like I could run circles around the man watching him move.
No, I guarantee it. Old boys.
He stood up for the last song. They walked off and then came right back on for an encore or whatever.
Yeah, they came right back on.
One song for the encore. And that was the one he stood up. And then, I feel like he was like, well, I'm going to have to stand up to leave in a minute here. So I
might as well work these knees. Might as well work these knees up into a standing position now.
Yep.
Man, that is so cool.
Anyway, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Nicely done, man. That is so awesome.
But it was a great show, and it was even cooler that I
And
watched it
Hubie
with
Brown was able to get his voice in, or Cedric the Entertainer. What was his name?
Philip Bailey.
Philip Bailey. I was close.
Mhm.
Really got his he got his voice back in.
Hubie Brown.
Very happy, very happy. So
Thank you.
Adam, let's George Foster. That's so cool.
Isn't that cool?
I'm going through all the things in my head of what I
I-
would have done.
And I also thought, as I was there, I thought I gotta text Chris and Uncle Randy, and I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta reveal this on the podcast.
Yeah,
Just
that
like
was
on the
so well done. So well done. That is awesome.
So you're finding out now, and your
This
dad will find out
first time.
tomorrow.
Yep, he'll find out tomorrow. This is the first time I've heard it. This is so cool. And George Foster, I know I would have been jamming with his wife. I'd have known it before. Even if I didn't know it was him, I'd have been jamming with the if I'm standing up at a concert and there is an older lady next to me just getting it, I am jamming with that older lady all day long. I want her to feel like we are in the groove.
But yeah, you're right. There was a lot of white hairs there, a lot of moving around, not to the rhythm. And
Well, they're in rhythm in their head, but their body just can't do it anymore.
Suppose so.
That's okay. It's
Anyway,
just the way old people roll. Yeah. Rate the Reese's thing. I'm going 9.5.
Okay.
It was delicious.
9-1.
9.1. The hunk of peanut butter in the middle kind of threw me off. Did that like
Might have
surprise
been
you?
my favorite part of it.
Yeah.
Might have been my favorite part.
I was really disappointed when I didn't think there was going to be any peanut butter.
The chocolate is not Reese's chocolate. to me.
It's not.
I mean,
no.
it's just not. But it's
But
ice
it's
cream.
ice
It's
cream.
gotta be
It's
really
so
hard.
good.
Yeah.
It's ice cream and it's got peanut butter in it and chocolate and a waffle cone.
Yep.
Doesn't get any better than that.
Pretty good.
I love it.
You took your baseball team to Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah. We went to Nashville. My wife got food poisoning overnight. I don't know if it was food poisoning or what it was, but there was a few people that had some rumblings going on in the downstairs area.
Shouldn't have the fish tacos in Nashville.
Yeah, no, it was Bojangles on the way there, I think. And the next day it caught up to a few of them. I mean, I ate it all and I didn't have an issue, but you know.
You have an immune system of stone.
Yes, you're exactly right. Except for this giant knot of a inflammation that I have from my root canal I never got done. So
How do you do?
we went 0-2-1. It was rough. We played the same team twice. The team that we lost to was the same team, which sucks when you go out of town and you play two teams in bracket play, and then you end up playing two teams in pool play. And then we played one of those teams in bracket play right away. And that was kind of a bummer. Kids did all right though. I mean, we were in every game. It was good competition. The other teams threw strikes. It was a lot of good baseball. It wasn't a lot of walks. Everybody, it was good baseball. Not a lot of errors. Nothing too shabby. So it was good. The kids will always remember it because I don't think they'll ever remember what we did in the games. But we had an entire day on Friday. We got there Thursday, had an entire day Friday free. And I mean, it was 104 degrees outside. I mean, that was the feels like temperature. It was like 98, but it felt like 104 or something. And humidity was higher than anything. We had some of the biggest crazy storms you ever seen. I'm talking
That's how it was here.
Crazy. I know it exactly. That's what I heard. So we had huge storms. There was a tornado. So we played baseball in Hendersonville, which is just northeast, I want to say, of Nashville. And it's a big 13 field complex, nice park. And there was a tornado that was spotted and never touched down, but it was spotted in the air, over Hendersonville. And there was stuff everywhere. Signs like 4x4s that are dug down into the posts into the ground, like with signs for restaurants were blown and broken off, and they're all over the place when we went to go play baseball the next morning. But they got the fields ready. It's a little bit of a delay on the first day. I made all the kids go to bed early, and then we didn't have to play in the morning anyway. So that was fun. But yeah, the kids ended up that whole day. It was so hot. They go out. There's this back lot in the back of that nobody parked at in the back of the hotel. And they set that up as camp for wiffle ball. So they played wiffle ball out there. They played for about 20 minutes and then they come inside, jump in the pool for about 20 minutes. And they go right back outside, play wiffle ball, right back into the pool, right back out to wiffle ball, right back into the pool. It was a lot of fun, man. The kids had fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep. It was fun. Outside of that, yeah, it was a good time, man.
Any different
I
kind of
lost-
food or anything?
I
there?
lost the cornhole championship belts though. I lost them.
Oh, you had a little cornhole deal going.
Yeah, we had the belts and it was everybody, they just wouldn't let us go to bed until they finally beat us. So 3:00 in the morning, 4:00 in the morning, whatever time it was, when my partner could hardly stand up anymore, we lost the belts. So we'll get those back. They'll come back.
Well,
But,
how many games did you win before that?
oh, I don't know. Against the team the only other team that ever wants to play us all the time, or against everybody. I mean, we beat them probably 3 out of 5 times, and then we beat it, and then we won another, I don't know, 7, 8 games besides that. So,
You guys are still the champs, though. I mean, if you're playing a series,
overall, they will tell you that they have beat us more than them. But there's no doubt it is. I could pull the records up. Well, at least the other guy does. He apparently keeps pictures every time they get the belts back and when they lose them. So, just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. I think he actually does. We had some fun with that. Love you, Jared. But no, we got, no, we have definitely beat them way more than they have beat us. Not way more, but I'd say it's 60-40.
okay,
Might even be a little higher than that.
yeah, all right.
Yeah, there's one night that it was a rough night for them.
That's how you know when you are the best team. You're gonna play consistently, and if they have a bad night, you're gonna crush them. If they have a great night, you're gonna play even with them.
Yep, that's exactly right.
But you guys don't have bad nights.
Great
Great teams don't have bad nights.
We have bad nights when there's a few too many beers on either my side or his side. That's when we've lost the belts every time. One of us has been a little too inebriated to even see where we were, because we were done playing.
Yeah, throw it the middle hole.
Yeah. Well, I can't even see past my feet at that point in time. When you fall over trying to pick the bags up off the ground,
Man.
I didn't do that. I almost did that a few months ago, but not this one. Not this one. Anyway, no, so we lost the cornhole championship belts, which is a bummer because they're real nice. Did I show you the belts?
I feel like you did.
I'm talking like real leather, gold plates. Like it's legit. It's got like 30 buttons on the back so you can go. It looks exactly like a WWE belt, like a legit belt.
Very nice.
Not like a little plastic toy. It's the real deal.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So besides the point, other than that, no, it was a good time, man. We had fun. Yeah, all the kids are coming back next year. So this was one of the years where I didn't have to go through the stress of tryouts and cutting kids. I didn't have to cut a single kid.
Oh, this year?
Yeah, I did not have to cut a single kid because tryouts would be going on right now, but we're not having tryouts. Everybody I offered a spot to every kid at the end of the year, and they all said that they're not going anywhere to try out. They're going to stay here. So they had the opportunity to go try out anywhere they wanted. If they wanted to, it was no problem.
So they have 9 months to, I mean, we're talking about for next baseball.
Yeah, tryouts for next year are always right after the season because of the fact that you have a lot of things going on. So a lot of practice starts like in December or January, stuff like that. Or if you play fall ball, like we'll start back up at the end of August.
Oh.
Not anything crazy. We won't have practice. It'll just be playing games on Friday nights for 5-6 weeks. Maybe a doubleheader in there somewhere on a Friday, but that's all. Nothing. Just keeping the baseball, just keeping it going, right? Like basketball does a summer league for these kids, right? It's one night a week. You just go out there, you play for an hour, and you're done. You know what I mean? There's no practicing. Well, from some teams, I'm sure they are out there practicing, but yeah, you just, it's just something to break up the monotony. You know what I mean? Keep the baseball fresh, but also make sure that soccer or football or whatever your sport is right now is the most important thing.
It's a good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Absolutely.
Right on. Well, I mean, let's keep it in the baseball family here and talk a little Cincinnati Reds.
Did you watch the game today?
I did not. I was listening to it listened to the end of it on the way here.
So you didn't hear the beginning
No, I know
about
couple of
Ellie De La
things.
Cruz getting his bat checked. Did you see all that?
I saw a post from Lance McAllister on that on some Facebook or Twitter or something.
So after the Nationals check Ellie De La Cruz's bat, he has another bat after that, and so he's got this. It's a deal they put on the knob of the bat. It measures your exit velocity, and a lot of people use it in batting practice and stuff to see your exit velocity, you see your swing speed, all kinds of stuff like that, and it calculates it somehow off that knob. So he's got it taped up on his knob, and I've seen it down there before. So I thought that he has used it before. So he must have gotten it okayed with Major League Baseball. Because during it, it was said that he got it okayed by Jim Day. Was like, well, they're talking about it and they're making him take it off, but he was okayed to hold that. Like Major League Baseball told him he could do it. So he had another bat in the fifth. I believe this comes back in the fifth. Let me make sure here. So he comes back in the fifth and he's got it back on. They made him take it off. Hits a 455-foot home run
I heard about
with this on, and immediately points to the bottom of his bat. Immediately, as soon as he hits it, he starts going and he looks, and right there it is. Yep, looks into the Reds dugout.
Okay, thank you.
Into the Reds dugout and points at the mechanism at the bottom of his bat, puts a thumbs up. Basically, that's the way of saying you can't get in my head, homeboys. You can do whatever you want over here. I would have done it into the Washington dugout. I would have looked at them saying, it's back in case you want one. You go get one if you want one.
I'd like to think that you wouldn't do that.
If you piss me off and you're talking and I'm able to look at you and you question my bat, I tell you I'm allowed to have it. I've already had it. They've already told me I could have it. And then you make these guys call New York. The umpires had to call New York. He was on the phone, or not on the phone, but they got their wire tapped in with their, and he sat there. It was like a 5-minute delay in the middle of his at bat. It was a long delay in the middle of the at bat. So yeah, I'm pissed. I'm a Major League Baseball player. I did all this. I'm the biggest, hottest prospect right now. I know what you're doing right now. I'm not stupid. You're just trying to slow me down and get in my head and mess with my, get the funk a little different. 100%. That's the only reason Martinez did that for the Nationals. Guarantee you. He knows what's on the bottom of that bat. He knows the bottom of that bat is not that I can't remember what they're called, but he knows
swing analyzer.
He knows that is not doing anything to improve the bat itself. He knows that. He is doing that because he's got a rookie who is a absolute star, and he's doing whatever he can to try to play a mind game. I get it. I would do the same thing. And you don't believe that. I can tell by your look on your face right now.
Maybe, but I don't think it's a guarantee.
Okay.
Here's the thing.
I won't say guarantee. I'll
thing.
say 88%. I believe that's what he was trying to do.
Here's the thing. I've never seen one of those before. I've never noticed one of those before on anybody's bat. If it's the first time they're seeing that, then I feel like there's a legitimate thing. There's an extra thing. There's an extra device on this guy's bat.
These
need to get it.
They're Major League Baseball players. They know what that is. Almost everybody uses them in batting practice. Almost everybody has them on in batting practice. Oh. Now, whether you use it on your bat in a game, I have no idea. But De La Cruz got it okayed with baseball before he did. Like, it was okayed. It's not breaking the rules in any way. He's allowed to use it. They made him take it off, and they put it back on and said, stick it. Whatever you just tried to do, I'm coming back at you right now. But good for him. He looked into his dugout, which I'm fine with. He did the right thing. How about that? Does that make you like De La Cruz a little bit better? He did the right thing.
He didn't have to do any of that. But it also maybe they were doing that to get in his head, maybe. But also it's not, I don't think it's a bad thing to ask the umpires, and it's more on the umpires. If they make him take it off, even though it was approved, that's the umpires. If I'm like, I've never seen anybody use anything on their bat, any device on their bat before. I'm going to ask about this. Is he allowed to do that? Is it I can at least ask, because you got to make sure that there is no advantage or whatever. I mean, I know you say that if they use them all the time in batting practice, they know what it is. But if they've never been in a situation where it's, can you use this in a game? Because nobody on his team's using it.
I don't know that. I don't know who. I couldn't tell you who is or who isn't using them. But I guarantee somebody else is. There's got to be somebody out there doing it. Those things are everybody, like little league teams. Little kids have them in their garage on their bats when they're taking swings off of a tee. I mean, little kids.
So they can see their
exit velocity,
31 mile an hour exit velocity.
Well, yeah, 100%. You want to see the little thing. I don't care about the fact that a little kid's not going to hit a ball 110 miles an hour, right? But you still want to see your progression. And if you're a kid and it means a lot to you and you want to work on your craft, then yeah, I'll pay $500 or $400 or whatever they are to put it on the knob of your bat so you can take BP, see what you're doing, feel a swing, feel the difference in what you did here and what you did here, and see the result, the actual measured result every single time. That's awesome. Why would you not want to use something like that? Whether you're hitting the ball 30 miles an hour off the bat or 120 miles an hour off the bat. I don't care what your exit velocity is. If it shows you how you're improving, it's an amazing tool. It also takes your swing path, which is even more important. It takes your swing path into consideration and tells you your angle, launch angle, and all that stuff too, which is 1,000 times more important than just what your exit velocity is off the bat. Because I'm sure the exit velocity is not nearly as accurate as your swing path is going to be with that.
I want to see now, number one, I would like to know if anybody has ever used it in a game, during a game, before Ellie De La Cruz did today. Also, I want to see how many people use it now after, since this has happened.
Oh yeah.
We might see it all the time now.
Probably will. I'm sure it will. Especially because it's Ellie De La Cruz, who has taken over Major League Baseball. He is known everywhere. They asked him to be in the home run derby.
And he declined. Yeah.
Unbelievable. This kid is, it's insane what we have on our hands right now.
Yeah. And the amazing thing is, there are two other rookies on this team outperforming him. Like by
McLean is by far McLean is making a push for Rookie of the Year.
McLean and Steer both are making a push for Rookie
and
of the
Steer's
Year.
losing a place. Steer's having trouble finding the field.
Yeah.
And he was Rookie of the Month. McLean's been Rookie of the Month. I think they both have been Rookie of the Month. I know McLean has. I think Steer has. Anyway. And yeah, he's not even the best rookie on this team at this point. He is the best rookie on this team, but at this point, numbers wise, McLean has been more clutch, probably the most clutch human being on this team right now. Like this dude, when you need a hit and he's up to bat, he gets it.
He's getting you a double.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's interesting. I didn't know all of that. It was, so I saw
Jim Day came on and he's talking while they're talking about it, and you can hear him because he must have been really close to the field. So he didn't want to talk. He wasn't talking very loud. He was kind of whispering as they were talking in New York, but he was saying how, he said Ellie has gotten that approved by Major League Baseball to be able to use that. It has been approved. And, John, whatever his name is up there going, who's the guy who does the,
is it Sadak or something
like that? Anyway, he's up there going, whoa, so this has been okayed by baseball and they're making him take it off. If they're calling New York right now, they should know. And I was like, oh man, this is a protracted engagement, or this is basically saying it was taking really long to figure it out. He said it twice, protracted. And I was like, dude, just use regular
Probably
words.
worse for the pitcher to have that break in the middle of the.
You think so?
I would think.
I would think he could stand out there and keep throwing.
Yeah. Yeah, if he wants to, but isn't it about rhythm a lot? Isn't it usually worse for the pitcher if there's
that's for both. If you've already been, I think whenever somebody's taking something off of your bat, anytime your equipment is being messed with or it was questioned, now your mind, how hard is that for your mind to get back into? Okay, I got to get engaged into this at bat. The pitcher's like, it has nothing to do with me. He comes up, I'm throwing the same pitch. Ellie's over here trying to argue his case and in a totally different mindset than what he should be right before his at-bat.
Yeah. Yep.
Mind games. Hit a bomb, point at it, throw it over, give a thumbs up, point at it, gives a thumbs up. I think, you know what I think he was doing? I think he was pointing at it to look inside to see if they could tell him what his exit velocity or his launch angle was, and they gave him a good number, and that's when he gave him the thumbs up and threw it in.
What they did?
I think that's what happened.
He asked about it.
As soon as he hit it, it was gone, and it was a bomb. And he just looked and he started pointing at it like, what was that? What was that? And they told him, he was like, yes, sir. Great job. Thumbs up. And he took off running. He could have looked, if he was really mad, he would have did that towards the Washington dugout, but he looked at his dugout. He was just trying to see what his actual launch angle was.
Gotcha.
Anyway,
he's a real hero.
How exciting have the Reds been? I'm going to talk you into not liking Ellie De La Cruz now.
No. They won tonight, and that is their sixth straight series, or six out
they
of
lost
7.
the Braves. Yeah.
6 out of 7 series.
And the Braves are 30 games over 500. So
yeah,
that's good. That's unbelievable.
It's like they've won. Oh, I think it's 6 straight road series.
Oh, that could be. Yeah, that could be.
And that's the most since 2010. And the most ever was 8 straight road series in 76 or something like that. So
wow.
if they win a couple more, they tie that.
There.
But yeah, I mean, really, really exciting. Somehow they're doing it without a whole lot of pitching.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got so many guys hitting, and
their bats are alive, man. This team is so hot. Their bullpen actually hasn't been terrible either. The back end of their bullpen, they've got 3 guys. Buck Farmer threw really well the other day. He came in, and they've got a couple more guys that are showing themselves to be good. And then you have Diaz, who is the best pitcher, the best closer in baseball right now. But the series they lost was to the Braves most recently. I gotta say this: Ronald Acuna Jr. Okay, Ronald Acuna Jr.
He's all right.
Let me see how makes first half history, first half of baseball. He is the first player ever to hit 20 home runs, steal 40 bases, and drive in 50 runs before the All-Star break.
He has 40 stolen bases.
His most stolen bases he ever had before this season, where was it? I want to say it was like 37, and he's got 40 stolen bases, 50 RBIs. So, the 25-year-old Acuna is also just the 3rd player to hit 20 and steal 40 in the first 84 games. So he's the only one to do that with 50 RBIs. He's one of 2 other players to have 20 home runs and 40 stolen bases in the first 84 games. Do you want to try to put a name on either of these people? I'll tell you this: one was done in 1990 and the other was done in 1986.
The first name that comes to mind is Ricky Henderson.
Absolutely.
Eric Davis.
Eric Davis is number 2. Did you already read this?
No.
That's exactly right. Eric Davis and did it in 1986, and Ricky Henderson did it in 1990. Eric Davis, in his 4-year prime that he had, may have been the best baseball player
from
to step onto
86 to 90, right in there.
Yeah. He may have been the best player to stand on a baseball field.
Yeah,
in those 4 years. Unbelievable. So anyway, congratulations, Ronald Acuna Jr. That is amazing. 84 games, 20 bombs, 40 bags, 50 RBIs. That's insane.
Unbelievable. And he's not even the best player in baseball, because Shohei Ohtani is.
There's no doubt about that, my friend. Shohei Ohtani leads the majors in how many stat categories now in hitting?
All.
He's got the most home runs and a bunch of other stuff.
OPS.
And he's one of the top 10 pitchers in baseball right now. I'm going to look this up as we start talking. But before we get into him, can we talk about Joey Votto for a second?
Reached base 4 times tonight.
Did he? Good for him. Joey Votto went on a little slump, hit a bomb the other night. 0 for 21 he was. He was 0 for 21, hits a home run to get out of the slump. And he has taken to Ellie De La Cruz. Him and Ellie De La Cruz are like, it's fun, like to watch him. And because Joey Votto knows how great this kid is, right? Like Joey Votto's impressed by this kid. That's saying something because Joey Votto knows baseball. If you ever want to listen to somebody like this is how I know Joey Votto loves baseball and cares more than like it's the only love he really truly has. When he's interviewed after a game and you ask him a question, he will give you the most honest, like technically sound answer anyone could ever give. And it's like he's struggling the whole time because in his brain, everything makes sense, but he knows he's got to dumb it down for everyone else. And it's so hard for him to dumb it down. And he's trying, and he always goes, does that make sense? Like, do you understand? Like, he's always looking at Jim Day. Like, it's probably not the answer everybody wanted, but do you understand? And Jim Day's always like, yes, Joey, I do.
He wants so badly to say it perfectly.
Yes.
He wants to give the perfect answer.
Yes.
So he does. He's that's how I feel all the time.
Yeah.
But he does. It's so funny to watch him talk.
So he hit that home run and he's got the thing on. And apparently, I don't know what this is, but they do this like I don't know. Him and Ellie De La Cruz took a picture. So, you got the cap on when you hit a home run. They give you the cape, the Viking helmet. Mm-hmm. And you walk down, give everybody 5, and then you come back to the other end of the dugout, and there's a picture. They take a picture every time, from the top where the little camera stand is. Well, he and Ellie De La Cruz did it together, and they looked at each other, and they give like this shoulder shrug with their hands out. And they did it a couple times. They did it after he hit the home run too, like right away. I don't know what that is, but as soon as the game's over, Ellie De La Cruz rips his shirt out, puts his hat on backwards every time. I'm coming to find out. Votto comes running up. He's got his hat on backwards and his shirt untucked. And my dad immediately goes, look at Votto's even got his hat on backwards. Walks to the interview afterwards. Jim Day asks him a question. He goes, hey, Jim, you didn't even say anything about how hip I look. This is what all the cool kids are doing now. I got my hat on backwards. My shirt's untucked. Look, this is what we are, Jim. We're hip. I'm a hip guy with these young guys, Jim. It was so funny. In just the way Joey Votto is. I love Joey Votto on this team. I hope Cincinnati Reds fans can appreciate how important he is going to be to this team. I hope they can I hope they appreciate Joey Votto in general. There's too many people that don't.
Yeah.
But what he is on this team, to see him revitalized, to see these players around him and understand like this dude is one of the best hitters in baseball history. Or at least has one of the best eyes in baseball history. Maybe not the best hitters, but he's got one of the best eyes in baseball. Like he understands the strike zone better than anybody.
It's his left one.
Yes, predominantly.
No, that's his right one probably because it would be the closest one.
That's the closest one. Yeah. You should just use both.
It is fun. The whole thing's fun. And to that point quickly, when Joey Votto's hitting, you see positive things on the internet about him. When he's not, you see all kinds of, and you hear people
very polarizing
calling on sports talk radio and and then I still hear so many people who are outside Reds fans are aware of the Reds and are fans when they're good, but they're far enough away from it where they're not paying attention every day. And when things aren't going well, when are they going to get rid of Joey Votto? He's always hurt. He walks too much. He does the same stuff that people were saying 8 years ago, 10 years ago, or whatever. When he has a bad season, or when he was hurt for a while, it's the same stuff, and they don't pay attention anymore after whatever the last thing bad they heard.
Right.
So anyway, that's probably just going to continue, but
that'll never stop. That'll never stop.
He's got a year or two left, and then we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting because this team is changing.
I just hope I hope he kind of Ron Osters it. You know what I mean? Take some change. You know what I mean? Take some change, but hang out. Be that veteran guy on the 1990s team. Be the guy who shaves his head, even though you already shave his head. Like, Be the guy that does something crazy when you get a 10-game winning streak. You know what I mean? Like, be that guy.
Yeah. Yep. That would be great. I mean, I know he wants to play, but hopefully he knows where he's at in his career, and as long as he can contribute, that's awesome.
And he's still a very good defensive first baseman.
Is he?
I think he's good. I think he's as good as whatever his replacement would be right now on the Reds. I mean, I saw him make a couple three good plays just the other night, running back for a ball at first base in foul territory. Really tough catch.
Well, he takes a lot of pride in it. I know. He's had some bad, like I've heard.
He's had good years and bad years,
Yeah.
but I don't think he's he's not hurting you over there on the defensive side.
Yeah.
Like Jonathan India sometimes can hurt you on the defensive side over there.
It's going to be interesting to see what the Reds decide to do, especially with these other guys and Christian Encarnacion Strand coming up.
Yep.
and those guys.
Is that 3 different people or is that one person?
It's the holy trinity of baseball.
We've only got 13 shortstops in our farm system right now. Somebody's leaving so we can get a bullpen arm this year.
I was going to say, you mentioned early on, we got the trade deadline coming up here. We're a little bit past the halfway point, the All-Star games in a week or so, 2 weeks maybe. And then right after that is
it's next weekend, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's next weekend.
Is it before or I feel like it's usually the week after. Anyway, I don't know.
Shaw, what was his name? Jeff Shaw. Jeff Shaw got traded from the Reds to the Dodgers or something like the day of the All-Star game, and he had a different jersey on.
Oh, yeah,
it was Jeff Shaw. I think it was Jeff Shaw. He was the closer.
Oh.
Remember him?
Yeah.
I missed him when we were talking about closers.
Me too.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see what they do. I mean, it's going to be August, it sounds like, before they get, Green back and Lodolo back and those guys. So far, they've kind of come up with, they've brought the guys up and they've done just a good enough job to still win games.
For the bats to take over.
Right. If they can continue that and those guys can get healthy and come back and be what they're expected to be when they're at their best or close to it, that would be huge. And if that happens, then August theoretically should be a good month, and September should be an even better month. But to get there, and you mentioned the bullpen's had some good games and stuff, but they've still had some really bad games. The bullpen gave up 10 runs 4 or 5 days ago or something like that.
Wow.
And in one game, and you can still look at a box score and see 5 guys pitched, and the middle 4 guys or the middle 3 guys, an inning, a walk, 2 hits, maybe a run, a strikeout or 2.
Yep.
So
they have the worst ERA in all of baseball right now.
Yeah.
The Reds pitching has the worst ERA in all of baseball.
And they're in first place, and they're like 9 games over 500 or something like that.
Yep.
And
do we know what the Brewers did today?
No.
We can take a look.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing is we've got 7 straight games. Yeah. The All-Star weekend is next Saturday. Oh no, it's next. Sorry.
Next
All-Star weekend's
Tuesday.
Monday. Yeah, it's Tuesday. Is this coming Tuesday?
Oh.
And then Wednesday they're off, Thursday they're off, and then they start back up against the Brewers on Friday. So they've got 7 straight against the Brewers. They've got it's 3 or 4 before the deadline. 1, 2, 3. They've got 3. Yeah, so after they're done with the Nationals, they've got 3 games against the Brewers, All-Star weekend, whatever. And then they go back and play the Brewers again in a 4-game series. This is going to be what tells you this is going to be so big in the standings in the National League Central.
The Brewers lost tonight.
Oh, the Reds are in first place again.
The Reds I didn't realize this because I thought they were tied. Reds are up 2 games now. So the Brewers must have lost the last couple nights.
Maybe they lost last night and it wasn't in the paper, because this morning when I looked at the paper, they were even. So that could have been just that they didn't have the 2 games in there because the Reds
Yeah.
won. So that means Brewers probably lost 2 in a row. Does it say 2 losses in a row? And we've got
4 wins.
4 wins in a row.
How about that?
Let's go, baby.
I think that's the biggest margin that we've been in first place so far. I
Is
believe.
it? Let's keep it going. Just playing the
We
worst
said
team
we-
in baseball right now.
Yeah,
So
you have to win.
You
Those
got to
games.
win the games against the worst teams in
And
baseball.
they won another series. That's what it's all about too. You don't have to win. You don't have to have 10-game win streaks.
No.
You got to win series.
Yep, you win a series. You win yes, it's all about winning series. It's what everything is in baseball. And this is why I make the biggest argument of why I hate that stupid wild card, 1-game wild card game we always had going on, because baseball, literally, you just said it. It's all about winning series. Everything's about series. Everything is a series. It's all about winning series. And now we've got a 1-game deal to see if you can make the playoffs. It's so ridiculous.
Well, win more series during the game, and you don't have to play that game.
we had that in Nashville. They had one of the weirdest rules. If the game ended in a tie, they had, like, because of all the rain, they had cutoff times. It wasn't you can't start an inning. Usually you can't start an inning after an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes. If you're in an inning, you finish the inning, then the game's over. Well, they said, if the visiting team is up and it hits, it reverts back to the last inning. So if the visiting team is putting up like a 15-run inning and they were down by 1, say they were down by 1 at the end of the 4th, okay? Top of the 5th, they score 15 runs and they're still hitting, and the time gets called and it's a dead cutoff, it reverts back to the last inning. And I was like, this is I was like, this. And then they also said something about if it's a tie, it's a win for the home team. And that's not true. That doesn't happen. That's never, and it didn't end up being that way because we ended up tying, but it was a half point each. But the guy said that, and I was like, what? A tie becomes a win for the other team? I said, doesn't even make sense. It's pool play. Like, this is to see where our seed is. Why? I don't know. I've never heard it either, but that's what they said. So I don't even know how we got to this, but that was what it just brought that in my head about, oh, that's what it was. He looked at me and I was like, that's crazy. He goes, well, just don't make it become an issue. And I was like, good call. I like that. Good call, ump. Good call, Blue. Good call. His name was Adam. Adam was he was a great umpire, man. Him and Colton had every game that we played out there, and they were awesome.
Nice.
Two young kids that knew the game and were loud and let you know, not like loud and let you know what the calls were as they happened. There was no pause, like, they did a really good job.
Blue Adam.
Yep.
Like
I don't like calling him Blue. It's Adam and Colton. I don't like saying Blue. Somebody told me one time that umpires don't like being called Blue, so you should just introduce yourself, know what their name is.
It's more respectful to call
call
them by their name. Yeah, sure. Makes sense.
Absolutely.
Chris.
It is Chris, right?
Is it pronounced Chris?
Tris.
It's Tris.
Yeah.
I was always wondering because that CH.
People just call me Chris and I just let it go. I prefer Tris or Christopher or Tristoper.
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 Not Trista. It's Tristo.
Oh.
Per.
Tristoper.
Herp.
Yeah.
Her.
Emphasis on the H.
On the H.
Okay.
Just like in the last name, Christope. Quit.
Thank you for clearing that up.
You're welcome.
Tris, I have a question for you.
What do you got?
So I'm sure you've seen all of the NBA free agency is always super fun. For me, at least. Lots of signings. Last week was the beginning of that. And you saw usually the first 48 hours, everybody signs.
Yes.
Right? And then you have some few trickle in and things like that. Lots of signings. You guys moved around. The big thing, though, in NBA free agency, so we're not going to cover all these guys. 2 guys that are going to make NBA free agency in the offseason the most interesting are James Harden and Damian Lillard.
Yeah, Damian Lillard especially, because Damian Lillard is going to change a team.
He's going to change a team, and I'm 99.9% sure James Harden is too.
Sure, he will, but he also brings a little bit extra with him. You're also dealing with James Harden baggage too.
Yeah.
So that I like I mean, everywhere he goes, he gets fed up and almost doesn't quit on the team, but you just see
He did in Houston.
yeah,
He did quit on him.
he literally did. Yeah. But you see that, and it's like, yeah, there's baggage that comes there. Old Dame, man, he gives it all he has all the time and is in a place. And I was hoping that they would have figured out a way for Portland would have figured out a way to get him somewhere he wanted to be, to get him somewhere on a winner, get something back in return for him, to do it for him because of everything. I mean, he's had the opportunity to leave twice and stayed.
Right. He's been one of the very few guys that's been the opposite of what free agency's been about. He came out, a couple of years ago signed another 4-year deal to stay in Portland when he had an opportunity to go somewhere else.
And they have said they are now in a rebuilding process. There is no reason to have him on that team.
So, yeah, I think since he decided to move on. And I'm guessing
he never said he decided to move on. He has always been a guy like, he's like, look, if we can figure it out, we'll figure it out. I love Portland, all that stuff. But when they weren't making the moves and started losing pieces, and it became evident that it was a rebuild. I don't think they started a rebuild after he said he wasn't coming. I think the rebuild started this year, and maybe the writing was on the wall. You could say that, but he never came out and forced a trade. He never came out and said anything about that way.
It was, until they were 3 or 4 days into free agency.
That's different. That's after the season was over.
Right. So
I'm saying the rebuild process started last year.
Oh, no, I thought they were still hoping to try to build something around him. And then after the first 48 hours, everybody that was going to be worth anything signed with somebody else.
Right.
And then he had a meeting. He and his agent had a meeting with the front office, and they were like, you know what? Let's go ahead and
figure this out. So is he a free agent right now?
No, he's under contract.
So this is all going to be about figuring out where he's going to go.
That's right. And he wants specifically to go to Miami. They've said, we'd like to help you out, but we're not going to guarantee you're going to Miami. We've got to do something. We've got to take care of our franchise.
We have to do. Yeah.
So that's going to be the most interesting thing. And with James Harden opting in on his extension or his player option, he, from what I understand, opted in order to kind of force them to trade him as well, because it was going to be too big a number. Harden's making about 35 a year, and Dame's making about 45.
Nobody's going to pay James Harden that big number, though.
Well, this year they will. Next year they will, and then he'll be a free agent after that anyway.
Okay. Well, but like, he's not signing a new deal. Like, they'll pick up his
yeah, probably not. Now, this could be you hear about the contract year, and maybe this is the year he gets in shape and and help somebody win and stuff like that. But we're gonna see about that. It's gonna be interesting because I feel like there's a possibility to have a really fun trade to involve both of those guys, and it's gonna have to be a 3-team deal, I'm sure. But there's a chance that James Harden goes somewhere, probably not to Portland. If they could bring him in a trade there, but
Portland's going to be the one that gets a ton of pieces out of this whole thing.
That's right. Yeah.
Portland's going to get a ton out of this whole deal. And I hope it's good for them. I hope it ends up turning the franchise around in 3-4 years. But yeah, I'm happy for Dame Lillard. I'm happy he's going to get out. He's going to get to play somewhere. He's going to get to be on a team, hopefully, where he's I mean, I think he was happy in Portland. I won't say where he's happy, but where he's got an opportunity to win.
Yep, that's right. So there's really not a whole lot to say besides that, because nothing's happened yet. But the anticipation every day of possibly hearing the news of a blockbuster trade.
Oh yeah,
that's what's fun to me.
Yep. Yep. I'll be excited to see. I don't know. It's going to take some time, I would think, right? I mean, this is going to take
Probably.
to get the right team involved. I mean, it could be a 4-team trade.
Sure.
I mean, there could be a lot of moving parts in this whole thing.
Yep.
Very interesting to see, and it may not, and then it may just be Dame Lillard for 7 players.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Yep.
And somebody has to want James Harden, though. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
it comes with a lot of baggage, man.
Sure. I mean, but there are other guys that do, and it's
people don't want them either.
Well, I mean, Dylan Brooks signed a 4-year, $80 million deal.
Yeah, but Dylan Brooks
go to Houston.
That is ridiculous.
These
NBA owners are giving
the Clippers are keeping
contracts
Westbrook.
out to people that you would never think that people would ever get.
That's right. So anyway,
I mean, Dylan Brooks was let go. Like, see ya, we're adios. You didn't.
Well, he was going to be a free agent. They just decided not to sign him.
That's what I'm saying. They just said, we don't need you. As much a big a part of a team as you think you are, we can do this again without you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then somebody gave him $12 million a year, 21 million a year, 20 something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So
that's a lot of money.
I know.
That's so much money.
Yep. So anyway,
why couldn't I just be a little bit better? Why couldn't I just be a little bit more athletic?
That's all you
why
need.
Didn't I just work a little harder?
That's all it would have taken.
No, it would have taken a lot more than that. A lot more than that. Oh boy.
You and me both, pal.
Yep. Well, at least you could shoot.
For a couple of years, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, about 20 feet was maybe my max
There was
range.
no jumper you would miss inside the 3-point line. You would have been amazing in 1968.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
1988. No. When did it come in? 78? No. 80.
I could make a two-handed set shot all
When
day.
did the 3 two-handed set shot? When did the 3 become a 3? When did they put the 3-point line in?
80.
Was it 80?
Around there, I think. 80, 81, something like that.
I mean, Byron Larkin, I think he took 3 threes his entire collegiate career. He just made 3,000 points worth of twos.
Twos, yeah. Yep. All right. Well, that's about it for basketball. Well, I'm sure we'll have maybe some news next week. And that's it.
I love it.
We've got to go to Mount Rushmore next, right?
Yeah, let's do our Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore game shows.
The greatest game shows of all time.
Would you like to go first?
No, you go first. I want to go first you want me to go first? I'll go first.
I can.
Nope, I got it right here.
I have a bunch written down, and I have one marked as a for sure.
Okay.
I've got to decide on 3 more.
Okay.
You know how that's gonna go.
Yep. No, here, I'll start off then. I was a huge fan when it first came out of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you remember Regis Philbin had that show, and you had to ask. My favorite thing of all time, me and my dad would watch that. Me and my mom and dad, I was probably in high school or maybe, 7th, 8th grade high school when that came out. And I think of this all the time. My favorite thing that I've ever seen one of my favorite things I've ever seen on TV. This dude makes it to the $1 million question. He did not poll the audience one time. He did not phone a friend one time. And he did not do the 50-50 or whatever that the last one was. None of them. Gets to the $1 million question and immediately says, Regis, I'd like to phone a friend. And Regis is like, oh, we finally got you, huh? You made it. They had never had anybody get to the $1 million question. They had never given that, never done it.
Yep.
And he says, I'd like to call my dad. Calls his dad, and his dad answers the phone. And he goes, Dad, I just wanted you to be on the phone when you heard that I won $1 million. It was the coolest thing. He said something to the effect of, hey, Dad, I just wanted to let you know I just won $1 million.
Yep.
Something like that. And everybody's like, oh my God. And then he says the answer, and Regis Philbin is like, oh, and it was one of the coolest things I have ever seen.
Yep.
So that made me a huge Who Wants to Be a Millionaire fan. I love that. Always love
Yeah,
that.
very cool.
Jeopardy, without a doubt, is on top of that. I'm going with Double Dare. I love Double Dare as a child. Double Dare was the king of the world. Getting slimed. What was that guy's name?
Mark Summers.
Mark Summers went on to do many game shows with Nickelodeon and others. Okay, so how many is that? 2 or 3?
You've got 3.
I've got 3, so I got 1 left. All right. So God, there's so many game shows.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at all of these things, and some of these I didn't even know. I've never heard any of it before. Like I've never heard half of the things that are on some of these things. Like Win Ben Stein's Money, that was fun. I loved that.
I did too.
Wipeout was awesome. But like You Bet Your Life, I never saw that. Tic Tac Doe, come on, man, these are crazy. The Pyramid was always fun. The dating game from back in the day. But if I've got to go with my last one, so I've got Jeopardy, I've got Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and I've got Double Dare, then I think it's automatic that Bob Barker and The Price is Right has to be on the Mount Rushmore of game shows.
There you go. Good call. Good call.
So where did you go for yours?
I'm going to start with my number 1, Jeopardy.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
I don't even like Jeopardy, but I feel like it has to be on the game. I feel like it has to be there.
I feel like there are 3 or 4 that like are the most popular ones. Like I feel like Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, Price is Right, and maybe like Family Feud or something, just like the most popular ones. But I'm going Jeopardy. I'm going to go Double Dare. It was
nice.
tough. Like I want to put those other ones in there because as an adult, they're bigger, but Double Dare was awesome. The physical challenge.
Physical challenge. Yeah. Find the red flag.
And then that
almost drowned yourself in a pie that's as big as this room until you find the flag inside.
That's right. I remember there was like an obstacle course at the end or something like that you had to go through. And there was this enormous nose, which should be a prop in the studio.
Yes, it should. It is. There's 2 of them right behind us. Look at my nose. Seriously, my nose goes over my mustache. Like totally put the correct crooked point. The guy who painted this, my brother-in-law, put the correct crooked point of my nose. You can't see half my mustache. And that's how, when I'm looking in here, can't see half my mustache with my crooked pointy nose.
You get the right angle. That's where it's at.
That's exactly right.
Anyway, Double Dare was so much fun. I'm going to throw Wheel of Fortune on there.
All right.
This kind of came about because we talked about how Pat Sajak is retiring after this next season. Long time, like 40 years or something like that. It's been on. And then I'm going to throw one on here. That's just, it's one of those game shows that they get awarded points, but it's arbitrary.
You did it. You did it. We talked about this last week. I love this show. Good for you.
Whose Line Is It Anyway?
I would probably put this on over Jeopardy, to be honest with you. Whose Line Is It Anyway was the best.
They have the best
Wayne Brady
comedians. Yeah,
Wayne Brady is just
Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery, and
God.
I mean, just there's like a core 4 or 5 guys on there.
And then there was the girl, I can't remember her name, but she was always really good.
Yep.
Man, that was such a good one.
And then Drew Carey did it for a while, and then he's been at Price is Right for a long time now.
Drew Carey's like 90 years old.
He's got to be. Aisha Tyler? Is that who? Is that
could be? Yeah,
I think it is.
Anyway, I'm going to tell you, Wayne Brady. Oh man,
that's a talented guy.
Yes, it is. When he would just start rapping, or not rapping, but get into his little song and do it like he'd be a weatherman and do a song. That's unbelievable how he could do that. Unbelievable. Him, and when he was in the greatest, maybe one of the greatest episodes of the Chappelle Show ever was the Wayne Brady episode.
Yep.
That might have been one of the greatest ones.
Yep. That was good.
All right. There you go.
Mount Rushmore of game shows.
All right. That brings us to the comedy segment. Super excited to know what you think about this. So so you have done. Tell me what Dingaling 1 and Dingaling 2's names are that did the sing along that you made me watch.
Oh,
The play, the 2-man play, sing the
Sing-along.
what do you call a play where they sing the whole time? What's that called? It's called a not an opera, but you go so like on
musical?
Broadway, a musical. Yeah, you made me watch this musical that you called a.
Sing.
Oh my god. Anyway,
That was
whatever.
Nick Kroll and John Mulaney. It was
Yeah.
Oh Hello on Broadway.
Oh hello on Broadway. Okay, so you made me do that, and I had a feeling maybe this could go either way because I love Wildin' Out. These dudes are so good on Wildin' Out. It is so funny. And I was really, really hyped to see this. And I ain't gonna lie to you, man, it let me down. It was
Really?
rough. Yeah, it was rough. I mean, it was good. It was okay, but it wasn't like a comedy special. Like it was, I don't know.
Not the traditional comedy special we're
no,
used to,
no,
but there were three guys on a stage.
There were funny parts, but a lot of it wasn't that funny. They were just talking and like DC Young Fly laughs at himself all the time, and it happens. But usually he laughs at himself when it's really, really funny on
The Burt,
on Wildin' Out.
the Burt Kreischer of
Yes,
Atlanta.
yes, the Burt Kreischer of ATO,
Took his shirt off.
West Side ATO. It's just a lot of talking over each other. A lot. I don't. I know a lot of it was planned out. Like a lot of it was written, but it was not a lot of the jokes were delivered right. I think they do better in like an improv scene like they do on Wildin' Out. And I'm sure Wildin' Out's not 100% improv because you could tell they got some of this stuff ready to go. And they write a lot of jokes beforehand. And when they do that stuff on Wildin' Out, it's the jokes are there. They're just using whatever somebody said to get to their joke that they've already had planned, which is perfect. But some of this was just rough deliveries. There were some funny parts. There were some good parts. But when DC Young Fly was just looking for some weed for 10 minutes, that I was like, come on, man, let's do something here. And then a song would break out. They'd break out a rapper that I don't know, like a guy nobody I've ever heard of. And the whole audience knew him. They were into it, but I never heard him. And I don't know. And then he kept yelling at the band to shut up and stop playing. Yeah. I was like, why are they?
They didn't.
Yeah. I was like, I don't get it. Are they supposed to be doing this? Because it doesn't seem right. Like it didn't seem like things were, I don't know. I was confused.
Speaking of they had a couple musical guests on there. They had the band that was there the whole time.
Yep.
And they would play randomly and stuff. And then they had a couple, and one was, I feel like I heard of both acts.
The last one, last guy, I feel like I had heard of. I just didn't know the song.
I can't even remember who it was now, but one of them was the Goody Mob.
Yeah.
And I had definitely heard of them. I don't know their music.
That was the last one.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah. The first one was just a guy that DC Young Fly used to live next to or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
No, I thought that was true. I don't know if that's true.
That was somebody else. He's a rapper. Like I feel like I've heard of him.
I don't know. I never
But
did.
Anyway,
I mean, they all sound the same.
The Goody Mob. Did you recognize CeeLo Green?
That's what I said. I said, is that CeeLo? It's not. That wasn't CeeLo Green though. I kept looking
for sure.
100% it was?
1,000%.
That's the first thing I thought. I was like, is this CeeLo Green? Like that looks like CeeLo Green.
I wrote down CeeLo Green is from Goody Mob.
Did you look it up? Did you look it up?
No, but I'm positive.
I'm telling you right now, I thought it, and I walked from my kitchen looking at the TV in the family room into the family room to get a bigger look at the TV to see if it was CeeLo Green. I don't think it was CeeLo Green. CeeLo Green has got such a higher pitched voice and everything too.
I think he was I think he was a little bit different in that setting than when he's doing his full singing. But I don't know.
I think so. I don't think it's CeeLo Green. Goody Mob.
CeeLo Green.
CeeLo Green. That was legit CeeLo Green. I was sitting there going, man, it looks just like him, but no way that's him. All right. Well, so maybe I should know who they are. Maybe that's why I thought I knew him.
But I had no idea he was in Goody Mob. No. I've heard of Goody Mob and I knew a couple CeeLo Green songs. Yeah. In fact, I saw him live. He opened for who was it? Lionel Richie. When I went to the Lionel Richie show.
Big Gip, Cujo, CeeLo Green, and Timo.
How about that?
Yeah, CeeLo Green. I mean, he just had some singing. He just kind of sang, I thought.
Yeah.
But these guys were hip hop and
Um,
Goody Mob. Man, CeeLo Green came from Goody Mob. I was looking at him. I was like, that ain't CeeLo Green.
I wrote
That's hilarious.
just a couple of notes down. That was one. CeeLo Green is from Goody Mob? Question mark. Um, a couple of things that made me laugh. I did write built like a coffee straw.
Yeah,
That it's a coffee stir. It's not a straw, but
doesn't matter. Everybody
but
got it.
some of the stuff when they were roasting each other, some of them were dumb. There were a couple here and there that were pretty
Gives
good.
you, oh yeah. I wish I would have wrote some of that stuff down because I told you earlier, I wish I would have wrote some of it down because there were some really funny parts. Like when they hit one, it was good, but they missed on a lot.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah, they somebody said somebody I forget how it was all laid out, but somebody had a grand brother.
A grand brother.
Yeah, yeah, I forget.
That
the
was
whole
that
family
was
thing.
DC Young Fly talking to oh, what's his name?
Chico Bean or Carlos Miller.
Carlos Miller, not Chico Bean, Carlos Miller. Yeah, he always talks about how old Carlos Miller is, and Carlos Miller is the one that said you DC, you build like a coffee straw.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like I related best probably to Carlos Miller because he was
100%.
the oldest
He's
one,
the
and
old
he
dude.
just seemed like he had the most sense about him, I guess.
So funny when he's on. He's my favorite person on Wild 'N Out. No, Justina Valentine might be my favorite person on there, but he's my second.
He comes to Cincinnati all the time. He comes to the Funny Bone all the time.
Carlos Miller does.
All three of these guys, I think, have
Have
been
they?
here. Yeah.
I don't know that I could. I would. I don't. I would have to see. So when they
Separate.
announced them all, right? When they announced them all, they were talking about you would have seen them on Comedy Central, just that you'd seen them on Wild 'N Out, all the stuff. And I was like, oh, these dudes actually do stand up. I mean, everybody that's on Wild 'N Out is a stand-up comedian, just about. Almost all of them are stand-up comedians. Well, maybe 3/4 of them. Because that's what the whole thing is, right? Like it's supposed to be you win the comedy championship belt when you win. It's all about having the best jokes on your freestyles and all that. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is these dudes, they are funny, so I'm sure they are stand-up comedians. I bet they're better individually than they are that way.
Maybe. Yeah, some of it was like, this isn't great. But
Yeah.
some of it was they surprised me at times because when it started, 10 minutes in or so, I'm like,
That's when I called you. I called you 10 minutes, or I texted you 10 minutes in, and I was like, I'm 10 or 15 minutes into this special, and I just want to apologize now.
it's very, very, very cultural. It's hip hop comedy.
Oh, 100%.
It's hip hop comedy.
Yeah.
And and speaking of that,
Can she cook?
The last note that I wrote that I have not said out loud yet, the star of the show, the inventor of closed captioning.
Yes, no doubt. There's no doubt. You can't understand anything DC Young Fly says.
Yeah, and I feel like some of it's he's talking like that on purpose because he thinks it's funnier or something.
100%. That is exactly what it is.
But also he's pretty clearly had I mean, they even kind of touched on it. Probably had a pretty rough childhood in Atlanta, and he doesn't enunciate well.
No,
none of these guys really do.
They run together. Chico or Carlos Miller does. Chico Bean's good too. Chico Bean can have a very professional voice when he does his little. He gets very.
I'm sure both of those.
He's got a very deep, like a sultry, deep, like a Marvin Gaye kind of voice.
Mm-hmm.
Chico Bean with the biggest head you ever seen in your life. They always make fun of his hairline and his head all the time.
He took that hat off at one time, and he
had braids halfway back.
Yeah.
And then when everybody makes fun of him, and then they laugh. It's the same thing on Wild 'N Out. They say the same things over and over, and then everybody laughs because they made fun of Chico Bean. Yeah, I know. It was the exact same joke the entire time. The whole thing. It was the same joke the entire time.
Period.
So they're laughing at Chico Bean's hairline, or he's got braids underneath his hat that start halfway in the back of his head. And immediately he goes, "Oh, I know you ain't talking. It's exactly what you look like underneath that wig." They always talk about underneath your lace front. Yeah. I know what you look like. This is what you look like underneath your lace front.
Yeah. So it was, at first I'm like, boy, really maybe not made for me.
Yeah.
And but there was enough funny stuff in it though. They would hit something funny like, every 10 minutes or something like that. Somebody would say something and it would make me laugh. I'd be like, okay, that's good. And there was enough of it there that I was like, okay, by the end of it, I was like, you know what? Overall, not that bad.
Wow. Okay.
Not that bad.
We are going to be different from each other.
I gave it a 3.4.
I was expecting so much more because I love these dudes so much.
I've never watched Wild 'N Out, so I had no expectation really.
I think I gave it a 2.4 because I think I had higher expectations for it.
That makes sense.
Because these guys are, to me, are so funny. And I've never seen them in this 85 South like the way they do it.
It was like, if you are from Atlanta, come to this show because it's going to be about Atlanta. It's going to be about, growing up in certain parts of Atlanta, I guess. And
yep,
that's what it was. So there you go.
Good for those guys.
It was okay.
DC's with a Wild 'N Out girl. Got her pregnant.
They're right.
Yeah. I think he's got a couple kids now.
Oh, is that
the Wild 'N Out girls?
You
don't know the Wild 'N Out girls?
I don't. Is that a direct order from Nick Cannon?
You have to have multiple children.
You have to have as many kids as you can.
There's a lot of jokes that happen between DC young. So they've got Nick Cannon has the Wild 'N Out girls, and there's 8 or 9. They're just there as they wear almost nothing.
Fly girls.
Yeah, they're fly girls, exactly. But they don't dance. They just stand there. But Nick's the one who picks them all out, apparently. So, that's always the big joke on the show. And there's a whole lot. They say they did a one thing was it's called plead the fifth. So if you plead the fifth to the question that's asked, then the other team gets a point. But if you answer it, then you get a point. And he said, "You have a daughter, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Would you ever let your daughter be a Wild 'N Out girl?" And he looked at it and everyone was like, "Oh," and all the while they show the Wild 'N Out girls like, "Oh, is there a problem with it? And he looked at the camera and said, "Hell no." I thought that was pretty funny. Speaking of Nick Cannon and he's up to 12, I want to say. I think he's up to 12.
Is it 12?
I'm pretty sure he's got like 6 kids that are all within like a year and a half.
He's had
and that's not a joke. I'm not kidding. He's got
several at the same time.
He knocked up like 3 or 4 women within the span of 6 months. It's crazy. Oh boy. And now that's a big joke on the show. They are constantly giving him crap for that. And he's got a great sense of humor, dude. I got to give it to Nick Cannon. There ain't nothing. You can talk about him. They bust his balls about him and Mariah Carey on there and earlier when they were married and when they got divorced and all the stuff. Oh my God. It is hilarious. Carlos Miller said, "You're the only person that still goes on dates with your ex-wife and her husband." Anyway,
well,
sorry. I could talk about Wild 'N Out all day long. I love that show.
I haven't seen it, but I don't know if it's a comedy show. Good.
It's so good. Anyway, there you go.
Speaking of comedy, we got to pick something for next week,
and then I got to do a Mount Rushmore.
You got a Mount Rushmore.
Mm-hmm.
I've got both on deck, so I'll have Mount Rushmore ready for next week, and then the comedy for this week is going to be so easy, Chris. We're recording this on July 5th. That means the 4th of July was yesterday from the day we're recording this. A couple days ago, if you're listening. On the 4th of July, Big Time Special came out on Netflix.
Oh boy, I haven't looked.
Mr. Tom Segura has come out.
Go.
A new special called, I think it's Sledgehammer.
Buddy, I'm telling you right now, this is as hyped as I've been in a long time.
Yep, old Tommy's got one out, and I expect a lot. I expect a lot. I hope
big
the same thing doesn't happen. Yeah. Yep. I believe
big expectations out of this. This is Mount Rushmore. This is Mount Rushmore. This is, Tom Segura's on your Mount Rushmore, right?
I don't think he was, but
Mount Rushmore of current.
Maybe of current.
Yeah.
Maybe of current.
Active comedians,
Yeah, maybe.
we'll say.
Um, he's as good as anybody.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So, yeah, this will be a little different than the one we just watched, I think.
Oh yeah,
This
is gonna be nothing like the one we just watched.
But not to say it's going to be better, because who knows? We haven't watched it yet. So
100%. I'm very excited about this. All right, so Tom Segura, Sledgehammer, and I have to do a Mount Rushmore. How about we do the Mount Rushmore? Have we done a Mount Rushmore? We've done a Mount Rushmore of colors, I'm sure, right?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I feel like that was probably pretty early. Mount Rushmores. We've had game shows.
While you're thinking about it, I will tell you, I got back in the wrestling mood for Mount Rushmores again, because I watched the other day. I watched documentary about Macho Man, and then I watched a documentary about Ultimate Warrior right after that.
Man,
I was on a little
yeah,
little
and I
wrestling
just
kick.
looked at your piece of paper and saw your one is gonna be good. That is gonna be so good.
Do it this week.
I'll start. Have we done tag teams?
I feel like we did tag
We've
teams,
done
yeah.
tag teams. Let's go with Mount Rushmore of
Oh, another thing. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Keep thinking. I also watched a show where Undertaker, I think it's Mark Calloway,
Yeah.
went over to, I think they were at Mick Foley's house, I want to say.
Okay.
Went over there and they sat there and watched together their Hell in a Cell match.
Dude, he talked like
one of the greatest matches in
Absolutely.
WWF history. And it was so fun to watch those two guys sit there and watch it together and talk to each other about it.
They talk
so cool.
So I've heard them talk about it separately multiple times, never together. But both of them always, when you hear them talking about it, always talk about when they're up there, and you can hear as they're walking, you can hear the metal pieces that are supposed to be holding the cage up, popping off. And if you watch the video, you can see them popping. And Mark Calloway's like, he's like, I don't want to be up here. This is stupid. What are we doing? And Mankind looks at him. Mick Foley looks at him and is like, throw me. This is it right now. This is it. And he goes, I don't want to do this. And unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It was really, really cool. Because those guys like each other. They respect each other a lot. And it was just fun to watch them.
And his tooth was in his nose or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't realize that until they showed that and they talked about it.
Oh my God.
Because they both thought, because Undertaker thought he had a big booger. And it was his tooth
knocked the
stuck
snot
in his nose.
I wonder, like my daughter had her too when she banged her teeth on the counter when the rollaway thing slipped out from underneath her, and they got jammed up inside of her gums. You remember that during COVID and all that. Right. They were jammed up inside her. We thought she lost them. They were just up inside her gum. So I wonder if that's what happened. If it hit so hard that it blew it up through his gum and into his nose. That's what happened.
I think, wasn't it his bottom tooth? I thought it was like.
I thought it was his top tooth. I thought it was his front tooth.
Maybe. I thought maybe he lost 2 teeth in that. Because I think there was another, because he said, oh yeah, this happened, and he popped a tooth out and he had a missing one on the bottom too. But then I think, yeah, you might be right.
It's unbelievable.
It was crazy. He got thrown off the top of the cage twice, because he threw him onto the table from the top first, like in the first 5 minutes of the match. And then he was like,
choke slam me.
Yeah. They were talking about, you might have to choke slam me 3-4 times to get me through this fence or whatever. Very first time. And
it's not like he fell correctly. Like it broke, and then he twisted upside down and very easily could have broke his neck. I mean, it wasn't like a natural wrestling fall where you land square on your back like everybody else does. This was like he toppled in the air and couldn't catch himself.
And he was, they were talking about, he was kind of out a little bit. Like he was still trying to get his senses back.
Oh yeah. He was concussed.
Yeah.
Faux show.
Yeah. and then the tacks. He put the
Mhm.
tacks down, and he slammed him on the, and then he choke slammed him onto the tacks, and then he's like, and then he rolls over through the tacks,
Yeah.
just on his own.
And
He's
Mark
like-
and Mark's like, in the I didn't even have they're pulling him out of his body, and I'm pissed off because they're in my shoe.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that was really cool. I don't know.
That's awesome. I love that.
Watched a bunch of cool stuff.
Okay. All right. So I want to get into some kind of wrestling thing then
But you don't have
to get
I
us
just-
into that. To get us
you
into
could
that.
just use that. We've then not
Nope,
have
it's
another
not
week.
happening. That's yours. I am going to go with the Mount Rushmore of giants in WWE.
Oh,
Mount Rushmore of giants. Like
Big
like
boys.
all of like anybody that's like 6'9" or bigger in
Okay.
WWE.
is that okay? So they have to be 6'9" or bigger.
I feel like 6'9" is a good number, right? That's pretty much a giant in WWE.
See, I agree. I don't know like how tall
Let's figure this out.
Earthquake was.
Yeah,
or, you
let's
know
see
what I mean?
how big. Let's see how big.
mean-
Razor Ramon was. How tall
I think he was like 6'6",
was
6'7", something like that.
Scott Hall? Because he's not a giant, but he was very tall. He was 6'7". Okay, so then let's say how tall was Kevin Nash? Because I would consider him a giant. He's 6'10".
6'10", yeah.
So I like 6. Do we say 6'10" and above or 6? I like 6'9" and above.
Okay.
Say 6'9" and above.
Okay.
By the Google search.
6'9" plus. All right. Okay. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
See, because giant, I feel like could also be Earthquake, Yokozuna.
Because they're so big.
Right.
But
I
I'm
don't-
going with giants like tall.
Tall. I got you.
Tall. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go tall.
All right. I know who number one is for me.
No, I mean, it's obvious, right? It's literally in his name.
Yeah.
He has to be number one. But there's also some crazy ones that have been out there, man. There's a lot of them that have been really big. There's one right now. Omos is a big dude. He's not going to be on it, but Omos is like 7'2" or something like that.
Wow.
He played college basketball.
Is that right?
Yeah. I don't remember where. Some terrible place.
Does it count if I put Victor Wembanyama on there?
Has he been in a wrestling ring? I mean,
Nope.
so does Shaq count? Could you put Shaq on there? He's
Oh.
done many wrestling events.
He has. You're right. Sure. If you want to put him
You
on
want
there,
to put him on there?
he's
All
not
right.
gonna be on mine.
He's not going to be on mine either. Okay. Well, I love it. That's perfect. Let's do that. Mount Rushmore of 6'9" or taller giants in wrestling. And that's very specific. This is how Mount Rushmore's become, but we've got to be very
I'm
specific.
with you.
Mount
like it.
Rushmore of gray coolers. Yeah. Mount Rushmore of Uncle
Rushmore
Paul art. Oh,
Oh,
that would be a
that's
good one. Yeah. So there you go. So let's go with, there's a little bit. Yeah. There you go. I like it. Let's do that. And yeah. So until next week, don't forget to turn your headlights on.